I want to touch on something that you said a lot, and I think it's important for people to hear. You mentioned a
Mhm,
lot about your father really
mhm,
helping put you in positions to be uncomfortable.
mhm,
And unfortunately, I know a little bit about your father's story.
mhm,
Um, Without myself giving the details, because I don't know them intimately, I don't want to, say anything that isn't true. But I know that you and your family went through a really rough journey, and you probably still do at times,
mhm,
with your father's diagnosis of ALS. So you were around 13, 14 when that
mhm.
became aware to everyone. What was that like? Obviously, still trying to reach all these pinnacles in your life and ups and downs, and one of the people in your circle now going through their
Mhm.
own, battle
Yeah.
journey. What was that like?
Oh man, it was so much. There was definitely ups and downs for sure. I would say, um, I there was a point in high school I wanted to quit
Mm,
soccer completely be just because I was mentally overwhelmed and
mm,
soccer was just I don't know, something I felt like that could ease my anxiety, my pain a little bit. But, I took like maybe 2 weeks off and then I was like, I can't live without this sport. But he was the person that pushed me the most to get out of my comfort zone. And then he was diagnosed when I was 13. He passed away when I was 18. So I was a freshman in college. And I feel like his focus obviously was not helping me improve in soccer. And I could tell like I wasn't doing that for myself. So I never thought that I was going to, I feel like I could have reached a level that I never reached if the situation never happened. He continued to keep pushing me. But, circumstances and life happens. And he still was my number one fan, came to all the games, came to all the practices. He would always he would always be the loudest in the stands, always. Like he probably got kicked out of 5 games just for yelling in general. So when you say that, did I care about the coaches yelling? No, I cared about my dad yelling. And I was always like, Dad, be quiet. I was always that kid that was so embarrassed.
uh-huh.
But but then he got to the point where he couldn't even speak anymore. And then I
Mm,
was like, I wish that I took it in when he was yelling at me.
mm,
Um, so there's like two different points in my life. I feel like pre his illness and post his illness, where my soccer game was completely different.
mm,
Obviously, as you get older, you get better, but like I feel like I could have been even better if our focus as a family wasn't more towards his illness and more towards my sisters and I soccer.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, I mean, it affected us both physically, mentally, financially. It was extremely tough on us, but
mhm,
I feel like it brought us closer as a family than anything ever could. Um, there was just so much love, and the the club community, the high school community, our college community was so loving, so supportive. Um, it's all just about the people you surround yourself with and the people that love you. It was honestly, I mean, I can't go back and change time, but I feel like what it was what shaped me into who I am today. Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing all that. What would be your maybe advice to someone who's going through something similar, whether it's an illness
Hmm.
or an injury, whether it's themselves or somebody else that's really close to them?
Hmm.
What would you say that they should be open to in terms of either
Hmm.
doing or accepting, like as they
Hmm.
go through this, period of time that is tough?
Yeah. I would definitely say talk to someone because I feel like at times, like personally, I bottled a lot of things up and was extremely emotional at times, extremely quiet at times. But as teenagers, you go through like this phase of like I don't care, and I mean I'm probably still through that phase, but like at times, uh, I I held too much in where it was
Mhm.
too much. And then at my highs, I was great. At my lows, it was so low. So I just feel like talking to someone, working it out with them, whether it's a therapist, a parent, a sibling, a friend, doesn't matter. Just staying vulnerable and making sure like people around you know what's going on with you. Um, that was what I feel like I experienced.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I feel like that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. I've heard this now a few times. Um, People who have gone through things, and Brian, I'm not sure if you remember Brian on my boys team, but he went to Colorado and he struggled his first year being there in Colorado away from, his family. And his biggest
Mhm.
suggestion again was also just talking to someone. Like
Yeah.
as much as we have access to, these phones and that, it's like I guess maybe I'm not sure if it's pressure to admit that we're struggling or
Mhm.
whatever the case may be, but it sounds like, you know, being vulnerable and, talking to someone about what's going on is very, very helpful. It won't solve the problem maybe, but right, it'll make it feel better because you're not
Mhm.
alone. I mean, everyone's going through something,
Mhm.